Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Mass Downtown Initiative Guidance Webinar. My name is Emmy Hahn. I am the Program Coordinator for the Mass Downtown Initiative Program, and I'll be walking through the guidelines and ideas for the program today. So just to give you an overview of what we'll be looking at today, program overview, where does the program fit in the one-stop, application instructions, important program parameters, how to be competitive, examples of successful applications, and key dates and opportunities to get guidance. What is the Mass Downtown Initiative? The primary mission of the Mass Downtown Initiative is to make downtown revitalization an integral part of community development in cities and towns across the Commonwealth. MDI's guiding principles are that the most effective approach to downtown revitalization is a holistic one, that it addresses economic and community development needs, and that it provides a framework of interrelated activities that promote positive change in a downtown to keep it healthy and prosperous. Eligibility, MDI funds are applied to or by the municipality. The technical assistance provided should be implemented with both the public and the private involved, and it's housed in the application of the Community One Stop. So just to give you some ideas about the categories that are covered by the Mass Downtown Initiative, we do design, which is facade programs, design guidelines are some ideas, mobility and parking plans, mobility, we also do pedestrian studies, wayfinding and branding, which is very popular. And I just mentioned it's also the most competitive part of the MDI program. And it's definitely has been something since COVID that people have been trying to make sure that people know what's there and how to get there. Equitable downtowns, economics of downtown, which could be anything from a market analysis to a feasibility study to a restaurant study. Pedestrian orientation, once again, we cover some of this under mobility, but really seems to be, since COVID, a real orientation towards how to make your downtown more pedestrian friendly. And then in addition to that, placemaking covers activities as well as public art. How do you make people want to walk around your downtown? What can they see? Small business support, e-commerce. And then what I think is the most important one is forming a downtown management district. And we do that not that you have to form one, but we can also test feasibility. Where does the MDI fit in the one stop? It falls under the preparing for growth, and it's community activation and placemaking. And once again, all the areas that it covers are listed in the red dotted lines. When applying, you're going to go to question 2.4. You're going to do a development continuum category of community activation and placemaking, project type, technical assistance for downtowns, and then under project focus, you're going to pick the listing that most coincides with what you're applying for. Important project parameters. Project budget. There is not a match requirement. The total amount for consultant services is $30,000. The consultant is assigned and paid for by the MDI program. There is no RFP process. Project timeline requirements. The technical assistance must be completed by June 30th, 2026. Eligible use of funds. As I listed before, all the different areas that technical assistance is provided in. A grantee community can expect its consultants to develop a specific scope of services that may include research, analysis, preliminary design ideas, and a strategic outline of next steps. Ineligible activities. We'll only see one project per municipality, and the assistance does not pay for staff salaries, software, or infrastructure. What is the key information that program reviewers take into consideration to be competitive? Achievable project scope. And this, I really emphasize here, and some people say, well, we're looking for assistance. We don't really know what a scope would look like, but it really prods you to think through, in terms of $30,000 worth of technical assistance, what do you want the scope, or what do you want the consultant to address? And this scope will be revised if the funds are granted or if the assistance is granted later. But this is a good point where you can really zero in on what is it that you want assistance for. Ability to execute in leadership, public and private sector representation, achievable timeline. As we said before, it has to be completed by June 30th, 2026. Outcomes and impact. What will this assistance help you do? Progress to date. They maybe have done some other things that support what you're asking for. responsiveness to support the Commonwealth's Sustainable Development Principles. In terms of attachments, the map of the area, it will be of your downtown or your commercial area, and pictures if useful. Successful applications. Here I would really encourage you to go to the MDI website, mass.gov/MDI. It has the final reports for the last 3 years, and they're a great reference to view past technical assistance topics and the level of assistance provided. So for instance, here, Ashburnham did a wayfinding and branding. Fitchburg did market potential for businesses, and Hudson did a bid impact report. Athol did design guidelines. Attleboro did a pedestrian access study. Broadway in corridor in Revere was a parking plan. And then we did a placemaking plan for Manchester by the Sea. So I think you see the breadth of what you can ask for. And every community has sort of that more specific thing that they're looking for assistance. As I mentioned before, this is part of the community one-stop, and to give you sort of a timeline, right now we're in the full application and expression of interest. You can't submit an application, however, you can open an application and start to work on it. And then once again, I can't emphasize enough, I think an expression of interest just can't help but help your application. You're not committed to applying for a project that you submit under an EOI. But should you decide to do that, it gives you some really good information. Then we go through the guidance phase through January and April, which we have the webinars, and then I'll mention that we have office hours, which I'll refer to later. Then the full application submission starts in May. You can start to submit applications, and they are the deadline for submittal is Wednesday, June 4th. Review and evaluation then starts in terms of the applications that were submitted. And we have hopefully decisions by fall of next year. Opportunities for guidance. Right, as I said before, and I can't emphasize enough, expression of interest is really something that I would do. You can put in as many expression of interest as you want, and I think it's a good way to test the concepts. One-stop and program webinars, one-stop instructions on how to fill out the application are currently being posted, and then you have the program webinars. Office hours. My office hours will be on April 7th at 12 noon. And I really encourage communities that are thinking about MDI to contact me, and we can just talk through. And I'm very often helpful in terms of narrowing down an idea that sometimes gets a little bit out of control when you're applying for, something. So a good discussion often makes a stronger application. And I want to thank you, and absolutely, I'm here to answer any questions. Thanks. Bye.